Oh my god! What the fuck did I just watch? This is not scripted. This is raw. Right when I thought there couldn't be something worse than this piece of shit. I need a beer. Ugh. I freaking don't give a fuck. If you guys don't like what I'm doing in this video, go fuck yourself. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh god, that Death Note film was fucking awful. Terrible. I would go far to say it's worse than Dragon Ball Evolution. This piece of shit. Do you think I care I threw that piece of crap? Of course not. Oh my. Ugh. Hate this movie so much. Death Note is a great series. The manga is good. So is the anime. I know my shit. I've seen all the live-action films, with the exception of one that has not been released outside Japan. I know my shit when it comes to Death Note. I read all the volumes of the manga. I know what Death Note is supposed to be about. I know what the concepts of Death Note is. I know what the characters are. And the story, it fucking doesn't get anything right. Oh, sure, it may have some things right on a basic level. Oh, Baruch likes apples. Okay, so fucking what? That's one fucking thing from the source material. L loves candy. Okay. And the Death Note kind of looks like it does in the source material. Okay. Why the fuck is everything else wrong? And no, you don't have to do an exact adaptation. I'll touch on that subject later in the video. Even as a movie of its own, it's fucking terrible. When I heard they were adapt Death Note into a live-action film, I was dreading it. Okay. Despite what popular opinion is, I enjoyed the live-action Death Notes, the Japanese ones. Were they perfect? No. They deviated from the source material, but you know what? These movies had the spirit of Death Note. They changed certain aspects of it, of course. They were adapting only the first half of Death Note, and they took certain aspects from the second half, but it was a faithful adaptation. The actors that played the characters fit the part. They suited the characters. They were true to the characters. The actor that played L in the Japanese Death Note films, he actually acted like L. Okay, the guy that plays him in this movie, he did pretty good when he acted like L. For the short time he actually acted like L. Now, had the freaking people who worked on this film respected the source material, he would have been a great L. But he sucked. And don't get me, the casting was awful. And Light Yagami, who's called Light Turner in this version, acts nothing like Light. He's a fucking idiot. He gets manipulated by everyone. He fucking is like a fucking whiny emo bitch. All he does is whine, 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 whine. Ugh. And one of his biggest motivations to use the Death Note in the first place is get pussy. Like Mia, I guess she's supposed to be this version of Misa. I don't even know who the fuck she's supposed to represent. I can understand maybe Misa, that kind of character, is not acceptable for the American's audience. The oh my god, this chick Mia was more like Light Yagami than Light Turner was. The only positive thing I could say is Farouk was done well. He acts like Farouk for the most part. Willem Dafoe was a great casting choice for Farouk. You could not have chosen a better voice for him. But he's not in that many scenes. Light's motivation for using the Death Note, oh, his mom died in Light Turner. And, yeah, really? Yes, I'm gonna talk about the Japanese and anime on Light's motivation. In the anime, you already saw signs of Light being a sociopath. He took the Death Note because he saw injustice in the world, but he also was bored. Because, he thought everyone was beneath him. And what made Light such an interesting character to watch was to see just how far he's willing to go. Light Yagami is one of the most interesting characters to watch on screen. Yes, he is probably one of the most evil characters to ever exist in manga. But that's what made him so interesting. He wasn't your typical protagonist in Shonen Jump. Now, the live-action films, his motivation for wanting justice in the first place, wanting to use the Death Note, was he was studying, law. He was going to go to the police force like his father. And you know what? If they were going to change his motivations to make it suit for an American audience, why did they do it like this version in the first place? So people in the West can relate to it. I'm not saying you have to adapt everything word from word, because even the anime, as much as people love that, it deviates from the series quite a bit at points, especially towards the end of the series. But the problem is, the movie doesn't even try to even be like Death Note. It doesn't have the feel. And Neil GameSparks could not have said this better himself. I'll give you a link to his rant on this piece of shit. Okay, just because a movie, is not faithful to the source material doesn't mean it's bad. Lord of the Rings is the greatest movie series of all time. Those aren't completely faithful to the books, but they have the spirit of Lord of the Rings. Some of Stephen King's movies, one of them is one of the most famous ones, isn't even faithful to the book, but it's considered a cinematic masterpiece. As long as you have the spirit of the books in there, or the source material, you could have a good movie. But the problem with Death Note, Netflix, the people who did it, they put no passion into this project. It felt nothing like Death Note. It felt like your stupid teenage fucking drama. It's like Light Yagami. He's so emotional in this. That's another thing. Why is he so emotional? Light Yagami doesn't care about anyone but himself. He has such an ego. It's like he's like in love with this girl for what? It's like this Light is so stupid. He gets manipulated by everyone. And don't get me started on the ending of this fucking stupid fucking movie. It is so awful. And anyone that gives this a good review, what the fuck is wrong with you? You have shitty taste in movies. This movie is awful. It really is. The acting, some of the worst I've ever seen on film. Damn it. It's some of the worst acting I've ever seen on film. I mean, god damn it. Ugh, I can't. I'm doing this raw and I'm so angry. I've gone through one beer already. Give me a second. All right. I should have watched this with beer. It is so bad. Never have I seen a movie where I wanted to turn the movie off. I can't believe I renewed my subscription to Netflix for this. Don't get me started on the unnecessary violence and language that they used in this movie. What, so they could try to make it, as mature as possible? Death Note in itself is mature. The themes of the series is mature. Has anyone never read Death Note? You don't need to make it more mature when it already is mature. The entire themes of Death Note, there's so much to talk about. This series itself challenges the concept of justice. It makes you think as you're reading it or watching it. The concept of Death Note is whatever your view is on justice. Light Yagami was critical the way they got him wrong. But L, I think, is even worse. Because L, the guy who plays L is good, like I said earlier in the video. But the way he acts is nothing like L later on. It's like the people who were involved in this movie looked probably at an outline, what Death Note was about, probably read some stuff on Wikipedia, and that's all they did. They didn't do much with it. There was no passion put into this project. There really isn't. This is worse than Dragon Ball Evolution. Yes, Dragon Ball Evolution as an adaptation is worse, but as a movie, no, this is much worse. Much, 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 much worse. Not only does this not respect the source material, it tries to do its own thing. To try to be new and hip and different. It's like, was it really necessary to add a bunch of fucking rules on the Death Note? The Death Note had like 10 rules as far as I remember. Why the hell does it need 80-something rules? It's like it's stupid. Oh, there's a rule that really was stupid. They had a rule where if you, erased a page of a Death Note, which you only used once, of someone, if you burn it, as long as their name's on the page, you could stop them from dying. It's like, what? Of course, this totally was a cop-out for the ending where Light basically outsmarts someone who was more like Light, and she dies. And his father, towards the end, finds out that he's Kira. And the way his reaction is like, what? Okay, I don't get the vibe that Light looks up to his father respectfully. It's like the Japanese Death Note, the movies, you had a sense of their relationship. You barely have any scenes with Light Yagami and his father. It's like Light doesn't really have compassion. They made him... It's like... They changed a series that was a moral gray, and they turned it into a good versus evil. It's like, how the hell is a character like Light a good person? He's one of the most evil characters in anime history, and they turned him into a fucking pussy. You know what? They should have had Mia been fucking Kira. She acted far more like him. She was more intelligent. And I don't buy a high school girl fucking outsmarting one of the members of the FBI, especially someone like her. Oh. Al would never use guns. Never. Never! Nor would he get emotional. It's like, I was able to tolerate certain things for the first 30 minutes, but then it really fucking pissed me off. And I don't care if my rant's all over the place. Fuck you! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! All you stupid cock-sucking fanboys of this fucking movie. Oh, man, this movie, they could have made it like the Japanese version. They had to Americanize it for an American audience. Death Note in itself is so easy to adapt for an American audience. It's so fucking easy. They had the easiest story in anime to adapt in live action. And you know what? What did they do with it? They made this piece of shit that doesn't even resemble the source material. You didn't have to deviate it that much. The only thing you really had to do is maybe change names of certain characters so they're American instead of Japanese. You could have freaking done that and still kept the themes of Death Note. You could have still had still had the character of Light Turner and everything else, but still had the main theme of Death Note, the moral gray theme. But no, they dumbed it down because Americans are so fucking dumb that they can't grasp the concepts of Death Note. Death Note is a smart series. It's deep. And they dumbed it down when they didn't need to be. There's series on TV and movies that are already like Death Note. It has some of the similar themes. It wasn't that hard to really adapt. The honest truth is, the people who made this film, they had no respect for the source material. The director was fucking terrible. The writing is awful. They had no respect for the source material. And before you people's like, oh, but a movie has to stand on its own. It can't be completely like the source material. Otherwise, it'll be just like the anime. First off, I'm going to bring this up again. The Japanese Death Note films are adaptations of the manga. They follow a similar story, but you know what? It's different. It's still different. But the characterization of Light, Yagami, and L is still just like it should be. Exactly like it should be. Okay, there were a few differences, of course, but then again, it was a director's and writer's word instead of the manga creator's word. Where of course the anime, the difference between Light and L was pretty much a little non-existent. They did add a few things here and there that weren't in the manga, but they did that for runtime. This movie was not even 2 hours. It was I think 80 to 90 minutes. They could have easily had done this. This should have been a 2-hour film. It should have been. But everything was rushed. Everything you see in this film was rushed. Everything. It's like they're trying to cater to a bunch of people that have a low attention span. This movie is beyond awful. It really is. I can't stand this movie. And I've been ranting for almost 20 minutes, and I still fucking can't come up with anything fucking that isn't bad about this film. The characters are stupid. L is fucking retarded. He doesn't act like L. I don't buy it. And there's talks about a sequel! A sequel! Why? The first film was terrible beyond belief. It wasn't even faithful to the source material, except in name only. And don't give me that shit. Oh, the manga creators liked it. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck their opinion. Seriously. They said the same shit about Akira Toriyama with Dragon Ball Evolution. But you know what? Guess what? Years later, Toriyama, you found out he hated Dragon Ball Evolution. They didn't consult him at all. And do you think I believe the creators, like this shit? I doubt it. Even if they did, their word is not credible. This movie is awful. And you can't use the manga creators, liking this film as a justification for this film's shittiness. There's legitimately bad things about this movie. There's things that are wrong with it. And here's an example of a movie, Death Note, that went off the source material completely, but still had the themes of Death Note. L changed the world. It wasn't based off the manga at all, but it told its own original story and still was true to the source material. You see, you don't have to completely follow the source material to be true to it. It's also the spirit of the source material. The people in the live-action films, they respect the source material. They had respect for it. The people who did the Netflix series had no respect for it. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. In fact, Force Awakens, it was one of my most hated movies up until this point, but this movie, it completely topples Force Awakens in terms of how much I fucking despise this fucking movie. I'm not as big of a Death Note fan as I am Star Wars, but you know what? Death Note is much worse. It took a great story that was complex in nature, and where we have similar things to Death Note, at least some of the same themes, in our own TV shows and movies. They had the easiest story to adapt on screen. It isn't like Dragon Ball, where it's nearly impossible to adapt. Death Note was easy. Why the hell couldn't we have gotten Dark Knight level of goodness for this movie? We should have. Someone like Christopher Nolan would have been great for Death Note. But no, we got this. This piece of shit that no one's going to remember. That's worse than Dragon Ball Evolution. I hate this movie. I fucking do. I hate this movie. Yeah, I've said that a lot in my review. I don't care if I'm repeating myself. It's a fucking piece of shit. Oh my god. As for the sequel, please don't be a sequel. Please don't have one. Please, 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 please. If you have not seen Death Note, the movie, don't waste your time. Unless you have beer or whatever you prefer to drink as your alcoholic beverage. You really want to experience Death Note. This is not that expensive. Go on Amazon and purchase Death Note, the complete series. You can get it for $25 to $35. Do that. It's the Netflix series is not worth your time. And if you have seen the anime but you want to watch a live action version of Death Note, I haven't reviewed these yet, but I will in the future. Watch these. They're faithful to the source material, they respect the source material, and they're actually good movies. Sure, the CG for Ryuk is not as good as the Netflix series, but you know what? At least the storyline for the manga is still intact. So, fuck this piece of shit, and fuck Dragon Ball Evolution, and fuck every single shitty anime movie. And, of course, some of those people in the comment section who say, oh, but this proves that anime doesn't work in live action. No, bullshit. Rurouni Kenshin was a great series of movies. It was different from the source material, but it had the spirit of Rurouni Kenshin. Now, why was that series good despite it being completely different from the source material? Because the people that worked on it had respect for it. The Marvel films, regardless how you feel about them, they respect the source material. So why the fuck is it that an anime movie, when it goes off the source material, that's okay? Why is that okay? That's what I want to ask you, for those who like this piece of crap. Why is that okay? This is objectively one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't give a shit what anyone you say. This movie is a piece of shit. I don't care. I find that disgusting. I need that beer after watching this piece of crap. Fuck this movie, and have a good day. Fuck you, whoever directed this piece of shit.